Hello. First, I apologize for a scratchy throat. I'm going to try to make it through this video. I only have time for one take, so you get what you get. I was recently on a road trip with two screaming children, and I needed to find a way to block that out while I drive. And so I looked up the best isolating earbuds, which happen to be called in-ear monitors, and my results turned up Etymotics, which are an excellent company that apparently sound amazing, good build quality, and ask a lot of people, they'll say these actually sound good. Whereas the Shures are more or less an industry standard for a lot of stage performers, but they sound nowhere near as good as the Etymotic. Now, this is the professional opinion, not my own. I happen to disagree with that. However, both of these advertise superior noise isolation, and the Etymotic actually lists 35 to 42 dB of noise isolation, depending on the ear tip, and the Shure trademarks sound isolating, but doesn't actually identify anywhere on the box or in the manual how much isolation there is. The Etymotics, which are these guys, are a long tube and come with these triple flange tips, which don't provide as much noise isolation, but depending on who you ask, sound a lot better. And these foam tips provide more sound isolation, whereas the Shures come pre-fitted with these foam ones, and this is the sound isolation they advertise on their site, which I'm about to show you. And let's just look at that now. So the ER3 SE that I happen to buy advertises 35 dB isolation using silicone and 42 dB using foam ear tips. Whereas the SE215 Pro advertises 37 dB up to, and it's pictured with the foam ones. And that's all that's included are a bunch of different foam options. So I'm assuming that's what they mean. Now, as far as noise reduction versus sound isolation, good luck figuring out the difference there. There's a great website called Noisy World where you can learn about noise reduction rating and what that actually means. And in a typical set of hearing protection, you actually get like a nutritional facts label, noise reduction rating. This was tested or at least verified by the EPA, and this provides 30 decibels of noise reduction. Now notice that's noise reduction and not isolation, as these guys refer to it. So it's two different things, but they work to complement each other. And this pair of industrial headphones or earmuffs provides 30, and the 3M Sleep Quiet and Sleep earplugs provide 32. What does that actually mean? Well, on the packaging as well is this attenuation data chart, which tells you how much noise reduction you can expect at different frequencies of sound, because a sound is a wave across frequencies. So, baby crying, what frequency is that actually at? I did some research, and it looks like this study published on 2002 and here in PubMed, which I'll try to link, identified that on average, cries were between 450 and 520, but 93% had cries within a mean fundamental frequency below 600 hertz. So this is like a much lower frequency than I would have expected, but high pitch maybe more. It depends on how your children cry, but between 450 and 520, that at least gives me a number here where I can see, oh, this actually provides a noise reduction rating of 36.6 with a standard deviation of 2.3, which means at its worst, we're probably going to see 36.6 minus 2.3 or 34.3 NRR from this device for a baby's crying. Okay, and in short, noise reduction is the difference in loudness measured in decibels at the ear with or without the hearing protection on. The 3M quiet plugs, as earplugs perform quite differently, actually provide higher levels of noise reduction rating across the board, and at 500 provide up to 40 of attenuation, which is noise reduction. Now, in combination, you can't add these numbers, but you would add 5 to the higher level. So 32 plus 5 is 37. If I were to wear the earplugs and the earmuffs, I should expect 37 noise reduction. And I don't know how to add these numbers of isolation. I don't think you can. But I will say, when playing music through these, it definitely cancels out or muffles or neutralizes, however you want to say it, isolates out the music instead of crying, which actually is preferable to just nothing and muffling it. So I wanted to include these. I looked very carefully at how to insert the earplugs deeply and correctly, as well as how to fit earplugs. They go in very deep, deeper than you probably think. And I know I installed these properly. Okay. In addition, I used some Apple earbuds that I had kind of as a control to see if these are actually providing more isolation than just a regular pair of plastic. And you can see they're vented here, shell, that don't really make a good seal in your ear. And here's another vent part potentially, versus these that are actually marketed as sound isolation. So, to the results. Here's how I tested this. I went online and found a YouTube video that takes you through 500 hertz sound waves at different decibel levels. You can see I play it there, you can actually hear it, and it's going between each of my speakers, which are just on the left and the right here. Now what I did is I opened up my iPhone, which happens to have a app from NIOSH, which is not really a good way to measure sound accurately, meaning 55 is actually 55 decibels, but it is precise in that 55 will always be 55, even if that number is wrong. So what I did was measure the decibels through this test, and we go on a range from between 70 decibels at the lowest to about 100 at the highest. You can hear it get much louder. This -3 decibels here is actually starting to hurt my ears. So I think it is around 100. Who knows? But I could not listen to that for very long. So what I did was put on each pair of headphones and listen through to see when I could actually notice the ringing. And I did a lot of stopping and starting to make sure I could hear it, because a constant noise, it's easy to ignore. So I did a lot of starting and stopping. And what I found was these results. So with the Control IEM Apple, which I don't even know if you can call this an IEM, it doesn't provide any manufacturer rated noise reduction or claims or isolation that I could find. And immediately when I started the test, that's what -30 means, which corresponds to, I'm thinking, if the NIOSH app is correct, about 70 decibels in this room. I immediately can hear it very clearly. And I put that in the notes as well. Now this column, the perceptibility with the H10A on, so this would be, for this first test, these guys over the Apple earbuds. And I tried to test each of these with this on top to see how it would be different. And you can see it actually provided a lot better noise isolation, cancellation, reduction, however you want to call it. I could not hear the ringing sound until -15, which in our case would be about 85 decibels, or maybe even about 88 decibels. And if you consider the decibel rating is a logarithmic scale, every increase of 10, no, I'd have to look this up, but I believe it's every increase of 10 decibels is 100 times more, 100 times louder. It's kind of quite interesting, so look that up for yourselves. The next test, the earmuff, I can immediately hear it, but it's very faint. I really like these earmuffs. The next one is just the earplugs, and I can immediately hear it clearly, just like with the Apple earbuds. And by the way, I've been playing music in the Apple earbuds as well, and all of these earbuds, but I can't play music obviously through earplugs. So I can hear it pretty clearly. You can see with the headphones, I can't hear the noise until about negative 24 decibels or maybe around 75 in this room, which is considerably lower than this rating of negative 15 or negative 12, which goes to show how much more beneficial it is to have music playing through there to drown out the other noise. It gets interesting with the silicon Etymotic that claim isolation. It didn't perform much better than the Apple ones at all. Definitely without the earmuffs, it was a little better, but even with the earmuffs, it wasn't that much better. Then with the foam, those did a lot better, which is how Etymotics are advertised. So I kind of expected this, even at the highest level that significantly hurts my ears in this room. For long periods of times, I could barely hear it at negative 3. And all the way to the Shure, these performed definitely the best. Without the earmuffs, they performed better than the Etymotic foam. And with the earmuffs, I could not hear throughout the entire test. Now, it's interesting because the manufacturer claims a higher degree of isolation with the Etymotic foam versus Shure's claim of 37, which is less than 42, obviously. And for these tests, it may be a little off because who knows how powerful these are driven through the same phone. I use the same volume level and the same song for all of these tests, but maybe the Shure is a little louder at that volume level at the ears than the Etymotic, and just a couple more notches of volume would have equalized those tests. When I say it was the same volume, it was a very low, soothing, relaxing volume that I could listen to music to forever. It wasn't anything loud like at the gym or driving where I can only listen to that for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. This was a very tolerable volume. And the Etymotic seemed to lack a little bit of bass compared to the Shure. I don't know if it's the frequency curve that's allowing in more of this lower frequency on the Etymotics, but the Shure outperformed them in this test for sure. And just to make this video complete, I want to look up that decibel thing. dB logarithmic doubling scale. Okay, so according to Brave AI, the decibel scale is logarithmic, means that each increase of 3 decibels represents a doubling of sound intensity or acoustic power. Wow. So 10 dB increase is tenfold increase, and a 3 dB increase is a doubling of the sound's power. So keeping that in mind, it's not just a difference of 3 decibels here. That's a difference of actually, well, it is a difference of 3 decibels, but because it's logarithmic, that's double the sound power. And I just wanted to let you know what I'm going to be going with will be the Shures. Even though, according to people online, they don't sound as good, I think they isolate the best and actually sound just fine. This was the amp I was using. It's USB-C audio converter from FiO. And I'm going to be returning the Etymotics. So we're using the Shures with these over the top, and I'm going to take these on a road trip Thanksgiving for 8 hours, and I will hopefully publish a follow-up video, and I'll let you know how they did. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was useful to you. I thought it was pretty interesting. See ya.